You know, one of the more common things I would hear at guitar shows, especially back in the day, but you know, a lot of these shows don't exist anymore, but people would come around the table and they'd say something pretty profound. They say, there's a lot of incredible craftsmen here, craftspeople. There's very few guitar builders. That is a statement that sticks with me through life because it honestly, it's totally true. There's a lot of good people out there that know how to build a really beautiful looking guitar. Unfortunately, the other half of that eludes them completely. You know, they're building, it's sort of like when in doubt, overbuild. We see this all the time in engineering, you know, especially these days because liability is the new way of the world. Engineers over-engineer most everything because if it fails, they're held liable for it. So we overbuild. You look at the musical instrument world, and it is no different. Not one builder out there wants to see one of their guitars implode or fail under the string tension. So what do? They over-engineer it, you know, or they try to come up with ways to make things stronger than they actually need to be, because everyone should be in search of that line being the point between it being a guitar that is successful and a guitar that is not successful. You know, Ervin said to me, to build a successful guitar, you have to build it on the cusp of disaster. Just strong enough to hold up to the string tension and flexible and energized enough to respond to the energy that's coming to the guitar.
Yeah, I think
And
people
most
are
people
afraid
are,
though, right?
well, of course they are, you know. So if that line's here, you know, it takes really the bold to get here. You know, and it takes the crazy to get here. And we all, I don't think there's a Somogyi student out here that hasn't gone here, because you can only know where that line is if you cross it. You know, that's one of the ballsy parts of what we do is we've got to cross the line to understand where the line's at.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're all kind of doing this. And they're like, oh, I don't know. You know, and everybody typically digresses back to a place where they feel more comfortable because they don't know where that is. And because the standards in this industry, or what's most common, is overbuilt guitars, most people have a tendency, from my experience, to believe that that's where the line kind of is. And by going much weaker than that on, say, top bracing or top thicknesses or back thicknesses, people get puckered pretty quick. People get scared by that really quickly. They don't know where the line is. Because again, nobody wants to take 3 months of their life, if not longer than that, building and crafting this thing that is genuinely exciting and wonderful on many different aspects. Both pride you have in yourself for being able to accomplish something that's complicated, to also making something that is inspirational, not just to you, but anyone who may play the guitar. There's a lot that goes into it. So and you don't want to see all that work that you've done just get destroyed because you built it too weak. Nobody does. I mean, who would want to spend 3 months of their life only to fail? And, you know, they say that the rich favor the bold. You know, I feel like that's the same metaphor can be used in the guitar building world. You got to be bold. You got to have the courage to jump out there and try it. If you don't, you know, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, we're just building boxes and putting strings on it. If you want to build a great guitar, you got to have the courage to find out where that line is so that you can truly build exceptional instruments.